Hi everyone, welcome aboard for the latest video. Hope you're all well. This is going to be another EZDOK video. I did one just over a year ago now. It's had quite a lot of hits. It's been quite useful to people, which is satisfying for me. But obviously I'm having a few questions with it because people obviously are finding things I didn't quite cover in the original video. So this is going to be like an updated version of the video, answering some questions that have been posted in the comments below the video, the original video. So I'm just going to address some of them, hopefully help and touch on some subjects that weren't touched on before, and hopefully that'll answer most of the questions that people may have or people may have in the future. Again, if there's anything I've missed, feel free to message me and I'll do my very best to try and help you. So the thing I want to start off with that I didn't cover in the first video was the buttons. Now, define the keys and buttons. So these are the buttons that I've chosen. Again, these top ones are the default buttons that EZDOK chooses for you. These bottom buttons are the ones that I've chosen for myself. Now, as I said before in the previous video, these buttons up here and down here may clash with some Flight Simulator P3D current button settings. So the easiest way to delete them and get rid of the clash is to go to the Flight Simulator settings. If I can do this, there we go. Options, settings, controls. So you want to go to controls. You want to make a list of all the buttons that you may have put down or you want to use for your views, be it the standard numpad or various other buttons on the keyboard. And the easiest way to do it without trying to search through every single control there is available is to pick on an empty setting like this one, APU off. Click a new assignment and then type in the button you want. So I don't know, I've got S for cycling view. So S. This event is currently assigned to the view next category action. Click OK to accept the assignment. Click clear to choose another word. So if you click the button you want for APU off, let's say, this is just going to be how we find the easy way to delete them. So if you click this button that you want, so I want to choose S, you then and it's assigned to another action. Clear that button. So as soon as you click clear, that will clear S off the FSX control panel, basically the control log. So S will then become a clear button. It will not be used for anything else. So you can click clear and then use S for APU. So if I click clear and then type S, okay, S will now become APU off. So I've cleared S from my EZDOK or S from whatever it was determined before on Flight Simulator, and I've now put it to APU, so I know exactly where that S button is. So I click on it again, delete key assignment. So now S is not used. S is not going to be used by any other control within Flight Simulator. So it's now free for me to use on EZDOK. So let's do that again. So if I go new assignment for APU off, click S, this button is available. Cancel. Let's do another one. I'll use A also. Still do this again. So click new assignment, click A. Oh, A is already assigned to something else. So what we do is you clear that. Okay. And there we go. So let's go new assignment just to make sure. A. Oh, I didn't do probably last time. So it'd be A. So you want to go clear. A again. Okay. My mistake. So you click the button you want to use for APU off and you want to delete. Click delete key assignment. Job done. Okay. So now A is clear. So if we go out to again, press A. A is now clear. So then what we can do, okay, we go back into EZDOK, which will be down here. Go to options, define keys and buttons, and they're still going to be available here. Next category, so they're now free. So you've got to go into the FSX controls, whatever they are. Let's bring that back up again. Define keys and buttons. So whatever these are. So if you note down these, note down what they are. Go into the control settings. Click on it, an empty one. Put in the button that you want to put into EZDOK, and then clear that action from FSX. Once you know it's clear, then you know you're not going to get any clashes within EZDOK. So once that bit's done, you should be able to do to then you've allowed EZDOK to become your primary camera setting visuals. So Flight Simulator have no control over that, so it'll all be done through this. So that's one of the questions I was asked. The FSX buttons clashing with the EZDOK buttons, so you have to delete Flight Simulator buttons first, then you can then concentrate on EZDOK. And the way to edit these cameras I covered in the first video. Another one was the transition between point A to point B. Some people are having this sort of effect where they're going from A. So if you turn P to P off, it has no transition, it just goes A to B like that. If you put P to P on, so put P to P on pedestal, it has a transition. Now, if you've got P to P on and it is still having a static transition, as it were, there's no swift motion. If you right click your mouse button, you have a setting here, transition time and non-linear. So if you can tweak these settings, like mine's 0.45, so you could try these settings for instance. So 0.45 for transition time and a non-linear time of 1, and then that should help if the PTP button is on and it's not doing as you wish. There's obviously, it's not been tweaked within there. Another question that's been arisen is these settings. I'm going to do these settings in another video. I did say that before, I know, but there's so much to go into these. I mean, look, what I'm going to try and do is do another video for each setting and try and find a way of allowing you to understand how these are set up, as it were, what sort of effect they have on each part of the visuals, the cameras, etc. Because if you can tweak them quite well, they are really, really good. And I've barely touched the surface, but I am slowly learning. But there's going to be I've got some ideas of videos to help you understand the process for those that need a little bit more help. So that's going to be coming in the future. But to go along with all the camera settings, etc. that I've got, another way you can make it easier for yourself is if you've seen someone on YouTube or that's got a good set of camera settings and you want to use them, you can ask that YouTube member if they're willing to upload their settings to the internet or email them to you, and you can import those settings into your profiles. So for instance, I basically set up all these cameras for 737, so I can then save these. So I go File, Save Camera Set, and I've already saved it somewhere here. So here we go. So I'll resave it over here. So it will save as like this. So I've just put 737-800.ecs, which is a camera set files. Save, overwrite, yes. So we do that. So that's going to save everything I've got in this profile now. All the positions of the cameras, all the settings I've got, everything. And then what I can do now is if I go to another 737, the default 737, or another type of 737 that I may download, like this was an iFly, I might want to download the PMDG, and I can upload them settings into the 737. You could also do it for the other aircraft, but bear in mind, different aircraft, different sizes, different cockpit layouts, you are going to get some issues. Not a lot of issues, but you might have to retweak the camera positions for different aircraft, as I say. So then what we can do then is if I load up another 737 with no EZDOK settings, then we can see how easy it is. So just bear with me while I load that new aircraft up, and we can see how easy it is just to import them settings into an empty aircraft. So here we are again, we're in a 737-600 this time. So it's back in, it's still another iFly, but it's another variation of the 737 that the iFly covers. So we open up the S-Car, see look, we've opened up EZDOK and there is nothing, this is absolutely empty, it's no good to me whatsoever. So all there's no settings in it. Of course I've also deleted all the FSX view settings, so that's not going to help me. So I'm completely naked, as it were. So what we can do is we can go File, Load Camera Set, Continue. So we select all these because then it's going to load everything from the other profile we want. Then we go down to where we've saved our file, click OK, Open. It's going to load it all, and that should, fingers crossed, allow me to do exactly the same as I was doing in the 737-800. So it's now registered as a 737-600 up here. Everything has been uploaded, so we should be able to. There we go. So it's slightly different to what I've had before, but basically a little tweak and you're there, you're away. I'm on the zoom. The zoom levels are slightly different, but as I say, it's all from nothing to everything. And you could probably do this with the default. In fact, we're going to try that. We're going to try that with the default as well. See what happens. Right wing, yeah. Left wing, all good. So it's simple as that. So if you've got another one offline that you want to use from somebody else, there's forums out there. AvSim's really good for this sort of stuff. You can download people's profiles if you like what you see. Ask nicely on YouTube if you see one. I'm sure people will be willing to let you have it. And then you can upload it and tweak it. At least it gives you a foundation to work on if you're not so sure about all the ins and outs of the program. So let's just load up a standard one. Select aircraft. So here we loaded up this 737-800 default. It's not doing, there we go. So the button still works, all the buttons still work. So again, click on EZDOK. Let's load it all up for us. Let's just try that file, load camera set, because obviously I might, so we'd see if it works. Continue. Try that. Open. Load. And this is a default 737, and it's loaded it exactly the same way. Left wing. Again, they might be slightly different because slightly different aircraft made by different people, but in essence you'll get the same sort of effect, and with a few tweaks you can get it to how you want it. And all these would be done as well. So all these have still got the same settings on them. Edit, air. So this is what I'm talking about. There's ways you can edit this and try and get the effects you want, but we'll go back into that in another video because it is quite complicated to start off with. So that's the other thing that people have been asking about. The other one is just checking the options really, because let's say you want to make sure, again as I said before, just to recap, make sure I've deleted all these out of the FSX controls before you start playing with them inside EZDOK, because it will clash. Other ones, general settings. These are great. I normally go with float. That gives you a nice swift movements when you try, especially when you're trying to edit cameras. Nice swift movements. You're not jerking about all over the place. You can pinpoint where you want the camera to be. Another great one is the mouse button. If you're not using mouse look, this button here is mouse look. So if you've got that activated, wherever your mouse goes in that camera, the camera's going to follow, which can be good and it can be annoying on certain cameras, especially if you're trying to play with certain buttons in the cockpit. So if you want to use the middle mouse button instead and disable that within there, so you press the middle mouse button, that will allow you to, oh, we've lost that. The middle mouse button acts like the space bar really in the FSX settings. It allows you to zoom and pan around the camera in the cockpit without, well, when you want really. So if you just keep that disabled, if you want to use the middle mouse button, is in essence the same as the space bar. What else was covered? There's quite a few questions. I should have noted them down, but I haven't. Make sure you've got the latest version. I'm on version 1.17. There are earlier versions out there. I think on their websites are 1.16. Steam has gone to 1.18. On the subject of Steam, if you're having a problem where you can't, I think this is mainly on Steam, but it has happened to me before on FSX. If you've got a problem where you go to add-ons and EZDOK's not in there, so you haven't got EZDOK in your add-ons settings, you want to find the file, you want to go to your let's go back here, you want to go to your SDK file, which will be in local disk, program files 86, Microsoft games. Then you want to go to Microsoft Flight Simulator X SDK, Core Utilities, Kit, Sim Connect SDK, Legacy Interfaces, and then both of these, you want to go to both these folders and make sure this is installed. So run this file, make sure you've got the latest Sim Connect installed on your computer, because that is what's going to connect EZDOK to your simulator. That's what connects all the outside programs, utilities to Flight Simulator is Sim Connect. So you've got to make sure this is up to date. Then that should solve the problem of having add-ons without the EZDOK menu. And I think that has answered most questions. But if there's anything else you'd like to know, feel free to ask. The other one, quickly, while I remember it, is sometimes you click on EZDOK and it won't show the studio. So you click on Show Studio and it won't appear. Now I have big difficulty in running FSX in full screen. If it's in full screen, I want to tab out. As soon as I tab out, I cannot tab back in. No matter what I do, I cannot get back in. So I always run it in windowed mode, which stutters the performance a bit. If I could put it in windowed mode and full screen, my frame rate should be slightly better. But as soon as I tab out, I've lost it, so I don't do it. But if you're having that problem and you like to fly in full screen, my recommendation would be to edit your cameras in windowed mode like this. So you can access the window, you can minimize the FSX window, etc. So you've got that freedom to play around in windowed mode. Edit your cameras in windowed mode, get what you want right, and then you can go back into full screen once you're happy, and you won't need to show the studio. That's my recommendation, and you should get around that problem then, because I've just tried it in full screen and I couldn't get it to show either. So I think that's the problem with FSX and the full screen options. But again, thank you very much for watching. If there's any more questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I try my very best to answer all the questions on the feedback and all the videos and that. For some reason, Google hasn't been notifying me of everything that's been going on. So if your question's been delayed or your comments had a bit of a late reply, I apologise. But I'm now going to make a point of going through each video every couple of days just to make sure I'm up to date, because say Google will notify me of one but not of another. So apologies if I've missed you out, but thanks again for watching. Hope it's been helpful for you as much as the first video it was. I will be making more videos regarding these three little buttons here, and say keep up the questions, keep up the feedback, bad or good, and I look forward to seeing the next video. Thanks very much.